Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Trustworthy's new user webinar series. Today's webinar is about digital organization hacks within the Trustworthy system. I'm Cairo Amani, Head of Customer Success at Trustworthy, and I'm joined today by Dawn, our Director of Content, and our Head of Product, Kyle. If you're attending today's webinar, you likely have a new account with us, so I'll begin with a brief overview of what Trustworthy does before we dive into today's specific topic. Trustworthy, the family operating system, is a cloud storage system or a digital vault designed to manage household information. We help you sort your personal data into several crucial categories like identification, finance, taxes, and legal, as well as providing space for property of all kinds, from houses and cars to valuables and heirlooms. In addition, you can store emergency planning materials and procedures. You'll find these categories on the left of your Trustworthy dashboard when you're logged in or by clicking Browse in the mobile app menu bar. Trustworthy doesn't allow you to make new categories, but our existing categories are robust. You'll notice a plus sign next to each category that lets you know what kinds of items you can add at a top level. You'll also see that we offer options within items too. So within an ID, you can add multiple ID types. So to a single person. Our users are normally transitioning from physical storage systems such as filing cabinets or more basic digital storage systems like Google Drive. When upgrading their storage strategy to Trustworthy, users enjoy Autopilot, our AI sorting assistant, that will extract details for you and even suggest names and locations for items when it can. Users also benefit from our automated and customizable reminders and our advanced collaboration feature, which allows users to share as much or as little of their Trustworthy information with key stakeholders. Trustworthy's paid plans allow you to store an unlimited amount of data, add an unlimited amount of collaborators and contacts, and for an added layer of organization, you can associate key contacts to important items without sharing that information, such as utility providers to specific properties, stakeholders to businesses, and account owners to financial accounts. And so this is what that looks like. You'll see you can add trust, businesses, or contacts to a finance account, and it works similarly with property as well. This way, anyone overseeing your affairs knows who to call in whatever situation. Should any of your contacts, caretakers, or family members need access to the information to edit or help organize, you can add them as a collaborator. And you can give them whatever sort of access you'd like. So you can have full access collaborators who can see and do anything on your account. And then you can have partial collaborators where you can limit what they can see and access to specific categories or even to specific items within the category. You can also share individual files with a secure link, and these are time-based, and they will only be able to see the one item that you're sharing. We also have one last level of access for collaborators called legacy access. These people have no access until you pass on or you are incapacitated, and then they get full access. The data you store in Trustworthy will always belong to you and will be available for download whenever you need to. You can download file by file, folder by folder, or you can do a complete export of all your documents at once. Lastly, you can find any of your Trustworthy info using our global search feature. And you can find anything related to your search listed here. Some items you can also copy and paste. We have a robust system, and the goal of today's webinar is to show you how to best organize your data in Trustworthy, especially data types with no corresponding category. So in this webinar, we'll be talking about how to organize and manage medical documents, receipts, and invoices, and how to choose the right categories for the right questions and for the right items. So Dawn will be moderating our Q&A. As I go along, please drop questions in the Q&A section. This is how you get to it. You press that little menu button and then you open Q&A. I'll pause periodically so that Kyle and I can answer questions. If you're having any trouble with the chat feature or the Q&A feature, you can let us know by emailing support@trustworthy.com. And if Kyle doesn't mind, just keeping an eye on our inbox to see if there's people who can't get in. But hopefully we don't have any trouble. So let's dive in. So I was just working from a very full account, but here is a newer account with less information in it, and we're going to spend today's demo adding items to this Trustworthy account. So when you are a brand new user, you will see like tips and tools throughout your dashboard showing you how to use our inbox and how to drag things to where they belong. When you have items in your inbox, you're going to encounter autopilot, and that's our AI tool that helps you label and sort things. So you will see that autopilot will extract details from anything you upload, and it will also suggest a new file name that you can accept or reject. It will also uh, give you this open option if it feels like it knows where something goes. So this took me right to my Geico insurance, and you can drag and drop anything where it belongs. You can get documents into this inbox in multiple ways. You can bulk upload from your computer, you can drag and drop, you can use the scan option in our mobile apps, or you can even forward attachments via email using our email to inbox feature. When you have items in your inbox, autopilot will analyze immediately and it will formulate its suggestions. Another option you'll see is to add. And this is when you enter something new that like doesn't exist. So like, and this is a new family member. And when you click add, Trustworthy will get started creating a space for you. And you can edit all of this information and start dragging things where they belong. When you enter certain documents into these pre-populated spots, you'll get extracted details. You can accept them. So some items like IDs, insurance, finance accounts, they will have these pre-populated slots. This is always editable. So when you're when you're running through them, you can always choose the option to do it later and just get things up quickly and add the files when you're ready. When autopilot doesn't have a suggestion for something, you can still drag and drop it where it belongs. So we've got like a warranty registration that got details but no suggestion for where to put it, but I can still drag and drop this wherever I want it. So customers often ask where to put documents and like that don't have a dedicated category, like health documents and information. And that's one of the main reasons that we are doing this webinar. We will have a medical category this year built to house common information like conditions, medications, or your medical invoices. But for now, you can spread these documents out in places where they make the most sense. So for your invoices, you could add them to the insurance. You can create a folder and then just drag and drop. And these are one of the tooltips that I was referencing earlier that shows you how to drag and drop any item that is in your inbox. So now I've got a couple of invoices in this folder. You can create folders and organize things however you want. So you can do it by date, or you can do it by category the way that I did at first. In addition, in the ID of the person whose medical information you want to store, you can do things like medications, lab results, and let's say prescriptions. And also, and this is another way to sort medical information right now. So we've got medications and we've got prescription receipt. Yeah. So those are the two places that you can put your medical info until our medical category is released. Another type of document customers inquire about a lot are receipts. So we have a property section, and you can add a receipt to any piece of property. So here's an Apple Watch, and I'll add the Apple Watch receipt. But you might list a business expense in the taxes section, for example. So here's a return that I've filled out already, and every item has files, so you can drop anything relevant here, such as receipts for business expenses. So it's up to you where you want to put the receipts. I think, like, to summarize all of this, whenever there are documents you're unsure about, consider what their secondary classification might be. So if there is no direct category, there are other places that make sense. So, I had a customer reach out about medical equipment, which can go with the insurance covering the equipment, or it can go in the property where the equipment is listed. Manuals to equipment can also be like paired with the device itself, or if it's something you own, it can be associated, something you don't own, it can be associated with where it's kept, for example, the manual of a dishwasher in a rental property. Next, we often get asked about a travel category. So we do have a section in IDs where you can add like a travel membership right here. But you can also use our family resources section, and you can add things like flight information or instructions for if something happens to you while you're in travel under an important document, and it will run you through a flow, and you'll have the opportunity to choose what sort of document you want to add. So blank is custom, it doesn't come with anything. This has babysitter instructions, but you can edit it. And so that's another place that you can keep travel related items. And even if it's pre-populated, you can always make some changes. Once you have items that are full of files, you'll also always be able to move them around. So you can move things from folder to folder, or you can move things from folders to pre-populated spots, or you can delete them completely if they end up becoming obsolete. So I'm going to pause here for questions, but next we're going to talk about what to do when you have like large amounts of data, like 1,000, 2,000 inputs. Dawn, do we have any waiting questions yet?
We do have several questions, Cairo.
Awesome.
I'll start from the top. We have a question from Tracy. She asks, how is Trustworthy notified of someone's incapacity, and how is that verified?
Yeah, for sure. So there are some options. So if you have someone who is your like power of attorney, they can reach out to us. If you're a verified legacy access collaborator, then you're in our system. It's pretty straightforward. You just have to provide some documentation and we can get you in. If you're not listed, that is, I think, is a little more complicated. So maybe Kyle can speak to that.
Yeah, I think the first point is if you're going to want someone to have access to your account, invite them as a collaborator or a legacy access collaborator. That way they know that you're storing this type of information in Trustworthy for that moment. If you do pass away or become incapacitated, someone can access that data to help settle your estate. So that's why these legacy access collaborators are important. They don't get access now, but they can get elevated access. They'll go through a process. I'll post a link to some information on that here. So what happens is, once someone, an account owner is passed away, you can reach out to our support team. We'll verify you. We'll verify through death certificates or other documentation that you provide that the account owner's passed away. We'll put you through an identity verification process. There's a bit of a cooling off period where there's other collaborators also in your account that we want to verify everybody with to make sure that you're legit. And that's something that we'll go through that process, and then we can start to provide access to you to gain access to the account. But it goes through our team from our support channel first, and we'll engage with our experts to make sure that we verify documents and verify identity and things like that. There's no dead man switch, if you know what I mean. Like, we're not pinging you every day to make sure you're still alive, and then if you don't respond, suddenly the account automatically goes into this process. That's come up before by request, but it's not something that we've got in place right now. So we rely on these collaborators to sort of kick off that process as well. If you're not on the collaborator list, we can still make it happen. We just need to do a lot more due diligence on you to make sure that we know who you are and we can verify you, and that other people who might be next of kin or contacts within your account can vouch for you and they can identify who you are. So that type of process could take a bit longer if you haven't already been identified as a legacy access collaborator.
Okay, great. Before I get to the next question, for anybody who joined late, we might want to explain again how to ask a question. Instead, don't use the chat feature, but go to at the bottom right of your screen, there's the 9-dot square there, and then click on the Q&A link there, and that's where you can ask a question. The second question on the list here comes from Dennis, who asks, can the program read from PDF files that we have?
Yes, if you're referring to autopilot extracting details, yes.
Yeah, so when those files are ingested, we analyze them to extract key details, and then oftentimes we'll use those details to help you fill in fields in a form. So let's say you upload an insurance policy, we'll find the policy number, we'll find the covered members, and we'll put those in the associated fields on that page. We're not ingesting all the content to make it searchable later. That's something that we're considering. We're just got some work to do to make sure that that's all that data is secured in our search index, but we're not. So yes, it reads the docs temporarily, but it doesn't retain all the doc content. It only extracts some key data to help you expedite getting Trustworthy up and running. And this sort of ties into, I think, the next question about security and personal information.
Yeah, this is a question from Egardo, who asks, how secure is this since we are inputting personal information?
Yeah, I think there's, I'll put a link into chat. This is something that we try and head off straight away. It's top on our website on our nav called security. You'll get a summary of all the security precautions and procedures that are in place. Some of the big ones here, obviously we've got all the encryption that you'd expect, but there's some other things that we're doing. One in particular that's pretty special is called tokenization. And that's when if you think about sort of the most private information, like say a social security number, it will not store that number in our database with all the other data. It'll extract that data, replace it with a token, which is an arbitrary string, and will store the personal or the social security in a different database all by itself without any other identifying information. And that only gets pieced back together when you log in and you go to reveal the data that's in that field. This helps us if our primary database was compromised in any way. All that's going to be in there is these tokens, and there's nothing, no interesting data to nefarious actors there. But even before we worry about that, there's all sorts of checks and balances in place, and you can read about those on our security page. And there's even a more robust page if you want to see what all of those precautions are. Compliance.trustworthy.com will show you our everything down to our hiring practices and our staff training practices and how we handle data and how we treat data. It's all covered in there, and you'll see the series of green check marks. We're constantly being audited on this stuff.
Thanks, Kyle. The next question comes from somebody, an anonymous question. The question is, can you rename documents that are in the inbox, or does that need to be done before it is uploaded?
Yeah, you can edit your document names by opening them up and then clicking the little pencil icon beside it. And you can do this when they're sorted as well. You'll always be able to open it and change it.
Okay. The next question comes from William. I think you covered some of this maybe, but before he had a chance to ask this question, or after, if an item was misclassified and saved in the wrong category, can you also move files between categories?
No, we don't offer that feature yet, but we've spoken about it. Basically, you can move a file anywhere within an item. It can't go back to the inbox or go to a category once it's pulled out.
Coming soon, no. Coming soon.
Okay. That is all of the questions for right now. I imagine we'll probably be seeing some more shortly.
Awesome. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so the unifying goal of our users is to manage as much of their information as possible in one place. And for some users, that can be a lot. So we're going to talk about some tools that help you manage and navigate information when you are getting to, hundreds of thousands of inputs. So we talked a little bit already about global search, but this is really your best friend when you have a lot of items or if you lose something. Like we've had people reach out to us and say, I put this somewhere and now I can't remember where it is. You will be able to, just search random terms and find out whatever is related to that. And you'll be able to copy and paste items as well. So that's your best friend. Another feature, if you have, is like voice to text. If you have dictation features on mobile or on any device you're using, voice to text will work on Trustworthy. And that can be useful if you're entering a lot of information, like long strings of numbers, like account numbers, for example. Or if you just prefer the convenience of being able to speak and not type things in. We also, you've seen me use this switch household feature. So a lot of our members are managing multiple households, and you can do this in one account, as in one login if you are made a collaborator. So once you're a collaborator on multiple accounts, you'll have that switch household button, and you'll be able to see every household that you're connected to and go in and make changes depending on what your level of access is. You don't have to log out, and you don't have to have your own account to use this feature. But if you do have an account, it will show up here. So we suggest that if you are managing multiple households, you create an account for each household so you can have this organized view. However, people may try to combine information into one account. So like maybe I want to manage my information plus my parents' information. And you'll be able to do that in multiple ways. Actually, let's use a different one for this one. So you can do that in multiple ways. So you have the option of naming your properties whatever you want. So you can be like, this is dad's summer home. This is mom's summer home, right in the title. So it's easy to see. We also have a profile picture on every item. So you could put a picture of the property, a picture of the house, the car, the Apple Watch, whatever it is you're storing. And that is an easy way to separate maybe your information from the other household information that you are managing. We have also had people ask if we do any color coding, and we don't, but using that profile, using that profile picture feature, you can manipulate it to look like color coding. So here we have, give it a minute to load. There, oh, there we go. So here I've replaced the profile pictures with just solid color photos. So you'll see Brett's stuff is in blue, Ivy's stuff is in green, and Cairo's stuff is in gold. So it will look color coded in this way. We still, and so you can do this for individual people, you can do this for households, however you want to label these things, or you can do a combination of both, like you'll see here. But we still insist that the easiest and probably the cleanest way to manage multiple households is through our collaborator feature, so that you can get a bird's eye view of everything that you are connected to. Before I move on to the last feature that I want to look at in this demo, Dawn, do we have questions waiting?
There's just one other question so
Okay.
far, which I answered in the chat, but I'll answer it here for everybody else as well. Edgardo asked where the recording for this webinar can be accessed. The two places: one, it'll be sent by email to everybody who signed up for the webinar, and it'll also be available at trustworthy.com/events.
And on our YouTube channel, which is another great
Sorry,
resource.
thank you. I forgot to mention that as well. Right.
Great. Okay. All right, let's do the last feature I want to talk about. This is reminders and to-dos. So as you add information to Trustworthy, like IDs, it grabs birthdays. If you add like legal documents, insurance, the system will start creating automated reminders for you. So reminders that are automated can't be edited or deleted, but you will see for custom reminders that you make, you can always make changes. And so there's some updates to this feature coming soon, but we in this section are going to talk about some ways that you can kind of manipulate reminders to do what you want them to do until we have like more options for this feature. But the point of reminders is to help you stay on top of certain commitments like inspections, renewals, equipment maintenance, and more. And our reminders feature is like one of the most useful and things about Trustworthy in a lot of ways that makes it more reliable than like Google Docs or physical storage. Is like we're going to help you stay organized. So like I said, in general, you can only edit the custom reminders, and you'll see those three dots and click for options. Reminders like the ones we make around passwords, we ask for folks ask to delete those often, or ones around like legal documents, those can't be edited or deleted right now. But if it's date-based, you can manipulate it a little bit. Let's do... so let's say my registration right here is expired. I can edit this date. And the reminder will update as well. We also sometimes get questions about like, how do I make a biannual reminder? So you can play around with dates for that. So let's say you want to get your car detailed every 6 months. So maybe the first time I'm going to do it is like next week. I can then make a reminder for 6 months from now that will pop up again. So then I have reminders to get my car detailed twice a year. So that's how you can kind of play with this for a little bit until we change this. I don't know, Kyle, if you have like updates on what the reminders feature might look like, if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, there's a number of things. One is to be able to unsubscribe from certain types of reminders. Let's say The one that's top of mind for me is the passwords category. It's always going to try and remind you to change your passwords, which you should do. You should change them on some regularity. Sometimes people find that annoying, so we're going to have the ability to unsubscribe from those or suppress those reminders. That's one thing that we're working on. The other is to be able to integrate this into a calendar. So to publish a link that you could put into your Google Calendar or Apple Calendar, so you could get these reminders outside of Trustworthy in a different platform. That's another thing that's in our backlog to work on as well. Reminders are pretty powerful, but there's a few more functions that we want to be able to add and like allow you to control the lead time, like how far in advance you get reminded of something like a passport renewal, for example. That's hard coded right now. You get a really broad lead time, but some people want to scale that down. So you'll see a lot more feature functionality in the future around reminders. It's a pretty important part of this, but for me, the one that I'm most excited about is integrating it with the existing calendars that I have. So I can see these on my Google Calendar or Apple Calendar.
Don, I saw we had some reminder related questions. One of them was, can you assign a reminder? And I'm about to chat about assignable to-dos, but I do remember asking Kyle this, like, can I assign a reminder to someone?
That's another one of the roadmap items as part of that reminder refactor. I forgot to mention it. Right now, the reminders are sort of generic. They go to all full access collaborators who get these reminders. But I think it's important, especially things that are like personal tasks. You might want to assign it to an individual person and have that person be responsible for that reminder. So that'll be part of the reminder refactor that we work on later this year.
Awesome. Don, did we have another one?
We have another reminder question from Rochelle. How are reminders sent to you now? Are they sent by email or text, or what other way might you get them?
We don't have any alerts now. When you log onto your dashboard, you'll always be able to see an overview of the reminders that you have, but we don't do like push alerts or anything like that. I think we do have we have emails going out when things are about to expire, but I don't know if like as soon as the reminder pops up, you get a notification about it.
Yeah, they'll get circulated via email, so you'll get a reminder in advance of something, and then you'll get like reminders if you haven't taken care of that. Like let's say it's a license renewal, you'll get a reminder. I think it's like 90 days in advance of that license expiring. Then you'll get another one like 30 days and 14 days. Then eventually like the day of. So you get these escalating reminders. If you go and renew that license and it gets a new reminder date inside Trustworthy, then the whole cycle starts over and those reminders are blocked until it's about to expire again. We'll be working on push notifications through the mobile app. Right now, there's no SMS or text, but it is something that is possible. And perhaps when we get through the reminder overhaul that we're going to do, we'll introduce SMS at that point. So for now, it's like in-app and email.
Thank you. Cairo, there's a couple other questions on other topics. Do you want to cover those right now, or do you want to save those for a bit later?
Let me finish this part about to-dos, and then I have another pause for questions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So related to reminders are assignable to-dos. These are also automatically generated, and you'll find them next to any category. You'll see 4 recommended items, 6 recommended items, etc. Something I would like to show is some of them are assigned and some of them are unassigned, and you can move them around. So we have some unassigned ones. You can click this, assign it to a contact, click the little profile photo, whoops. And then we also have some that are already assigned. You can still edit these and assign them to someone else. You can't create any to-dos and start assigning them. That was part of me asking Kyle, like, is that coming up? But for now, that you can also like dismiss these as well. And those are the current capabilities of the to-dos in our system. Okay, so this concludes the technical part of the demo. I'm going to highlight some resources next that we offer outside of the product, but I'll pause for the questions that we have waiting.
Okay, great. Thanks, Cairo. One question from a participant is, when will the medical section be made available?
That I can speak to this. This is still in our roadmap backlog. We've gone through some design iterations on this. It's something that we're hoping to have in the second half of this year. It's a hot topic, as you might imagine. It's probably our number one feature request now that we've got Android app out, which was our number one for a while. Now it's medical. So I would expect to be getting into that later this year. And we'll, as we get closer, we've got some people who are on a beta list who will be going through that with us to help us through testing it, and then we'll make it generally available as soon as it's ready. But you'll see email notifications about it as we get prepped for launching that. So be patient as we get it together. And I think in the interim, some of the workarounds and innovations that Cairo shared about, like creating custom folders inside family IDs, those can work for now. You'll still be able to find things via search, but we expect to be able to roll out a purpose-built category later this year.
Okay, thanks. A question from Edgardo. Is there any PDF guide to use available? And if there is a guide, such a guide, where can that be found?
A PDF guide for using Trustworthy. I mean, I would probably direct everyone to our help center, which is now very organized and robust with like a start here section. So if you go to help.trustworthy.com, you'll find this using your account section, and this will run you through getting started. We also have this full webinar series on YouTube so far, and the first one, An Easy Start to Trustworthy, goes through a lot of these like beginner challenges. So, but if you're looking for something written, I would recommend our help center for like directions on how to use our features.
Okay, I have another question here regarding the password. This is from William. Regarding the password category, is functionality planned to manage individual passwords?
So our Trustworthy is admittedly light on password management. You can manage individual passwords here, like for things like websites or portals and things like that. You can set up those passwords and manage them. We're not a full-blown password manager like what you might see with 1Password. We're not going to recommend complex passwords. We're not going to autofill those passwords. You might see movement in the future around our Chrome extension that might help you copy and paste these passwords into forms that you're looking at. We're still evaluating where we're going to go with password managers. Likely what you'll see is a integration with a password manager that's out there. So you can, with your account, you'll get a password manager and you'll use that. Password managers are tough because that's a lot of companies, that's their core business. And it needs to be on all sorts of platforms, and you need to autofill all these fields and forms. We're not there yet. But for people who don't have a password manager, Trustworthy is still a meaningful increment in security in storing their passwords here instead of a paper book or something that's lying around their house. So you can still track those passwords here. I do it for a lot of core passwords that I use here that are the most sensitive passwords that are stored in Trustworthy. But I still run another password manager externally from a different vendor. But you'll see more activity on this in the future.
Okay, well, that's those are the questions we have at the moment.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Don. Okay, well, I'd like to wrap this up by mentioning two other helpful resources that Trustworthy offers. So first, when you go to our website, trustworthy.com, and you head to resources, you will find guides and checklists. So shout out to Don, who's responsible for this awesome content. But we provide these downloadable guides and checklists for important life moments and popular needs like estate planning, home buying, and prepping for disasters. Many of our customers, I feel like, come to us thinking about end-of-life scenarios, but we are built for so much more, and there are so many other reasons to get organized besides just preparing for death, even though that's a good one. So if you signed up for Trustworthy, we can absolutely help you store your data, obviously, but we can also offer some guidance around these major life moments. And I think we're just constantly producing them. I don't know if they ever end. Don, do you have anything you'd like to add about these guides?
we are planning to create some more. In fact, we're working on one right now, which is a moving guide. And you can also, if you want to show that drop down in use cases there, we're in the top nav. You can see we have some other additional pages to kind of explain how you might want to be able, how you can use Trustworthy for a lot of day-to-day things, life moments that come at any time during your life, not just something that you would want to be saving for your errors.
Awesome. Great. Okay, and then the second resource I want to discuss is our Trustworthy Certified Expert team. So you'll also find that in the resources drop down. So we have a team of skilled Trustworthy Certified Experts. For those of you who have a lot to do in Trustworthy, but maybe you don't have time or help to get it all done, you might consider working with an expert. Experts offer services like digital and home organization, retirement support, estate planning, end-of-life planning, and wealth advisement, in addition to being certified on our platform. When you head to this page, you'll be able to filter by your overarching need, and then you can reach out to them to book a call with as many people as you want before you make a decision on who you want to work with. The experts are able to do all of the trustworthy work for you if you want to just hand over your documents, or they can guide you through using the platform and sustaining your own organization. If you have any questions about either of these resources, you can email us at support@trustworthy.com. And spoiler alert, it'll be either me or Kyle letting you know the information that you're looking for. So I'll pause here one last time for any more questions, Don.
No new questions, Cairo.
Okay, awesome. Well, this concludes our demo of digital organization hacks for the Trustworthy system. I want to thank everyone for coming and for choosing Trustworthy as your family operating system.